In the ancient land of Canaan, there lived a married couple whose story would be remembered for generations to come. Isaac, the promised son of the great patriarch Abraham, and his wife Rebekah, carried a longing in their hearts that stretched across many years. They desired a child, an heir who would continue the covenant given to Abraham, yet season after season passed without fulfillment. Still, they did not abandon hope. Isaac turned to the Lord with persistence and humility, lifting his voice in earnest prayer. He pleaded for divine intervention, trusting that the God who had done wonders before was still able to act. And in time, the impossible unfolded before them. Rebekah conceived. What should have been a season of pure joy soon became one of uncertainty and concern. Within her womb, she felt an intense unrest, as though opposing forces were struggling against one another. The sensation troubled her deeply. Confused and anxious, Rebekah sought the Lord, yearning for understanding. God responded to her inquiry with words both startling and far-reaching. 2 nations are within you. 2 peoples will come from your body and be divided. One will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. These words were layered with meaning, shaping the destiny not only of her household, but of future generations yet to be born. Time passed, and at last the day of delivery arrived. Anticipation filled the space around Rebekah, as those nearby waited in breathless expectation. Then came the shock. She did not give birth to one child, but to twins. The first emerged with reddish skin, his body covered in hair like a garment. He was named Esau, a name reflecting his appearance. Moments later, his brother followed, his small hand tightly gripping Esau's heel. He was named Jacob, meaning one who grasps the heel, a name hinting at contention and succession. From their earliest moments, it was evident these brothers were profoundly different. Esau, the firstborn, grew into a capable hunter, a man shaped by the open land. He was bold, physically powerful, and driven by impulse, thriving in the untamed outdoors. His rugged, hairy appearance set him apart, reinforcing his image as a man of the wild. Jacob, by contrast, developed a quieter disposition. He favored the calm of the tents and domestic life. Thoughtful and observant, he displayed insight, patience, and a natural aptitude for planning and negotiation. While Esau pursued game through forests and fields, Jacob remained near home, absorbing the customs of his people and learning the intricacies of commerce and stewardship. Their differences extended beyond temperament and lifestyle. They were also reflected in the hearts of their parents. Isaac, drawn to Esau's vigor and bravery, felt a stronger attachment to his elder son. The earthy scent Esau carried from his hunts and the meals he prepared delighted the aging patriarch. Rebekah, however, felt a deep connection to Jacob. She valued his steady presence, his reflective nature, and his attentiveness within the household. Generations later, a prophet named Malachi would speak words that echoed this distinction. I loved Jacob, but I rejected Esau. Though striking at first hearing, these words did not describe human animosity. Instead, they revealed a divine decision within a larger, redemptive plan, highlighting the roles each brother would fulfill in the unfolding story of God's people. As the firstborn, Esau held privileges of great importance. In the culture of that era, the eldest son received a double portion of the inheritance along with the patriarchal blessing. This blessing carried spiritual weight, transferring divine promises passed down from Abraham, including the assurance that through his lineage, blessing would reach all nations of the earth. Yet the path ahead held unexpected turns. The prophecy spoken to Rebekah before the twins' birth, that the older would serve the younger, began to take shape in unforeseen ways. Esau's decisions, marked by haste and disregard for long-term spiritual significance, would play a critical role in shaping what followed. As the years advanced, the contrast between the brothers became even more pronounced. Esau gained recognition as a fearless hunter, unafraid to confront the dangers of the wilderness. His formidable presence and skill earned admiration. He lived fully in the moment, guided by instinct, rarely giving thought to what lay ahead or to matters beyond the immediate. Jacob matured differently. He grew in discernment and resolve, studying human behavior and mastering the subtleties of negotiation and trade. Though less imposing physically, he possessed resilience and determination rooted within. His strength was measured not in muscle, but in endurance and foresight, qualities that would serve him well in times of adversity. The household itself reflected tension and complexity. Isaac, now advanced in age and weakened in sight, found reassurance in Esau's solid presence and the food he brought from the hunt. To him, Esau symbolized continuity and protection in a demanding world. Rebekah, however, recognized in Jacob the attributes required for leadership within God's unfolding purpose. She perceived in him a depth of spiritual awareness and discernment that, in her judgment, made him better suited to continue the heritage of Abraham. This quiet inclination within the household, though never openly declared, did not escape notice. Esau, assured of his position as the firstborn and confident in his father's affection, moved through life with little concern for what tomorrow might demand of him. He lived anchored in the present moment, rarely pausing to consider how today's decisions might shape the years ahead. Jacob, by contrast, grew up acutely aware of standing second. That awareness sharpened his perceptions and fueled an intense longing to alter the course set before him. From an early age, he carried an inner restlessness, a conviction that destiny could be influenced by intention and timing. The account of these two brothers calls attention to the intricate dynamics of family bonds, the burden of expectations placed upon children, and the lasting impact that personal choices can exert far beyond a single lifetime. Esau and Jacob, markedly different from the moment they were born, were moving toward a struggle that would extend far beyond their own lives, shaping the future of entire peoples. While Esau roamed the open fields of Canaan, absorbed in the rhythms of the hunt and unaware of unseen forces guiding his path, Jacob observed quietly, thinking ahead, measuring possibilities. Unbeknownst to either of them, the stage had been prepared for one of the most dramatic and far-reaching moments recorded in sacred history. Pause for emphasis. It would be an encounter that altered the direction of their lives and the destiny of generations yet unborn. The sun blazed relentlessly over the land of Canaan, its harsh light causing the air to shimmer above the dry plains. In this unforgiving terrain, another chapter in the compelling account of Esau and Jacob was beginning to take shape. The day had started no differently from countless others, yet it was destined to become a defining milestone for two nations still waiting in the future. Esau, the accomplished hunter, had risen early and set out at dawn, his bow slung across his back and a quiver of arrows at his side. He pushed deep into the untamed countryside, tracking game with practiced skill. Hours passed. The sun climbed higher, and the heat grew oppressive, pressing down on both land and body. A hunt that usually ended in success turned unexpectedly futile. The animals seemed to have disappeared, retreating into hidden shelters and shaded places beyond reach. At the same time, within the shelter of the family tent, Jacob attended to his daily responsibilities. His movements were calm and deliberate, yet his gaze frequently drifted toward the distant horizon, as though he were anticipating his brother's return. An unspoken tension lingered in the air, a subtle sense that events were aligning toward something significant. The long hours wore on, and eventually the sun began to sink toward the western sky. That was when a lone, unsteady figure emerged in the distance. Esau was coming back, drained, weakened, and empty-handed. The strength that usually defined him was gone, replaced by fatigue and strain. Hunger and thirst had reduced the once robust hunter to a man barely able to stand upright. Then a rich aroma drifted through the air, instantly awakening his senses. His stomach tightened, growling in response. With blurred vision, he fixed his gaze on its source. a large pot simmering over the fire, filled with lentil stew that Jacob had prepared. Esau called out, his voice rough and cracked from thirst. "Please, let me have some of that red stew. I'm starving. I feel as though I might collapse." Each word came in broken breaths, exposing the desperation of someone pushed to the edge. Jacob, who had been watching his brother approach, did not answer at once. His sharp eyes remained on Esau, weighing the moment carefully. For a brief interval, the only sounds were the soft bubbling of the stew and the harsh rhythm of Esau's breathing. At last, Jacob spoke. His tone was measured, his words deliberate. "I will give it to you," he said. "But first, sell me your birthright." The request, startling in its boldness, seemed to hang suspended between them. The birthright was no small matter. It represented honor, authority, and responsibility passed from father to eldest son. It carried a double share of inheritance, the leadership of the family, and, above all, the sacred blessing tied to the promises given to Abraham. Esau, weakened by exhaustion and overwhelmed by hunger, failed to comprehend the full weight of what was being asked. His reply came quickly, without reflection. "Look," he said, "I'm on the verge of dying from hunger. What use is a birthright to me right now?" Sensing the rare opportunity before him, Jacob pressed further. "Swear it to me, here and now." And Esau, in a moment of vulnerability that would echo through history, agreed. With an oath, he surrendered his birthright in exchange for a single meal. The agreement was sealed. Jacob brought him bread and the lentil stew. Esau ate and drank without restraint, focused solely on easing his immediate need. Yet in satisfying his hunger, he relinquished something of immeasurable worth. When the meal was finished and the haze of hunger lifted, Esau rose and walked away, appearing indifferent to what had just occurred. What seemed like an ordinary exchange was, in truth, a decisive turning point. The words spoken beside that fire would resonate through generations, shaping the course of families, peoples, and nations yet to come. Esau's behavior laid bare the nature of his character. He lived according to the pressure of the present moment, guided by appetite, exhaustion, and immediate relief. Hunger and weariness clouded his judgment, pushing him to treat something sacred as though it were ordinary. In that instant, he dismissed a birthright rich with spiritual weight and cultural meaning. By exchanging it for a simple meal, he revealed a short horizon for the future and a profound disregard for the legacy entrusted to him. Jacob, by contrast, displayed a sharply different temperament. He was observant, strategic, and acutely aware of opportunity. He understood exactly what the birthright represented and recognized the opening created by his brother's vulnerability. He acted decisively, seizing the moment to secure what Esau had failed to value. While his conduct raises serious ethical questions, it also exposed his deep respect for spiritual inheritance and his relentless drive to claim what he believed had been set aside for him. In the days that followed, an unspoken strain settled between the two brothers. Esau regained his strength and returned to his routines. He appeared unconcerned, resuming his life as a hunter, heading out into the fields as though nothing of significance had occurred. The agreement faded from his attention, treated as a forgotten transaction. Jacob, however, carried the knowledge quietly. He guarded the secret of his altered standing, waiting patiently for the moment when he could fully assert what he now believed belonged to him. Before long, word of the exchange made its way through the household. Rebecca, the mother of the twins, learned of it with visible surprise and perhaps a subtle sense of affirmation. She had long believed that Jacob was better suited to continue the family line and uphold its spiritual calling. Isaac, however, remained unaware of the agreement. His failing eyesight symbolized more than physical decline. It kept him from recognizing the quiet shift taking place between his sons and the changing balance within his own family. This moment, invites searching reflection. What do we truly value when circumstances press us? How quickly are we prepared to surrender inheritance, purpose, or calling in exchange for immediate satisfaction? The account of Esau and Jacob confronts us with questions about priorities and exposes how easily long-term significance can be traded for short-term relief. The episode also demonstrates how choices that appear small can reshape the future in sweeping ways. Esau's impulsive decision did more than alter his personal path. It redirected the course of an entire people. Often, the true gravity of our actions remains hidden until time reveals their consequences. What seems insignificant in the moment can echo far beyond what we imagined. The exchange of the birthright also forces us to wrestle with the tension between destiny and human responsibility. Before the twins were born, Rebekah had received a prophetic word that the older would serve the younger. Was this moment simply the unfolding of that declaration? Or were Esau and Jacob acting freely, shaping their own futures through personal choice? The story leaves room for both mystery and accountability. As the years moved forward, the effects of the agreement began to surface in quiet but noticeable ways. Jacob, now the bearer of the birthright, carried himself with increasing confidence. He became more engaged in family affairs, gradually preparing himself for the leadership role he believed was rightfully his. Esau, meanwhile, continued as he always had, seemingly unchanged in attitude or direction. He showed no outward sign of regret or sorrow over the trade he had made. Yet beneath this calm exterior, the roots of conflict were taking hold. What had once been a muted rivalry was now growing silently, gathering strength. It was only a matter of time before this tension would break into the open, bringing outcomes neither brother could fully anticipate. The account of Esau and Jacob, especially the moment of the birthright's exchange, has continued to captivate readers and scholars across generations. It rises beyond its ancient setting, offering enduring insight into family dynamics, personal decisions, and the fragile balance between divine purpose and human choice. As the sun dipped behind Isaac's tent on that decisive day, no one present could grasp the full reach of what had taken place. Events had been set in motion that would shape far more than the lives of two brothers. The path ahead would influence families, tribes, and nations. Their story was unfinished, and the chapters yet to come promised greater intensity and lasting consequence. Years passed after the day Esau exchanged his birthright for a bowl of lentils. Life within Isaac's household appeared to continue as before. Yet beneath the surface, unseen forces were still at work. These quiet movements were preparing the way for one of the most pivotal moments in the family's history. Isaac, the patriarch, had grown old. The eyes that once looked out with clarity had dimmed with age, leaving him nearly blind, his body bearing the heavy toll of time. Isaac sensed that the moment had arrived to pass on the patriarchal blessing, an act filled with deep spiritual and cultural meaning. One calm afternoon, he called for Esau, his firstborn and favored son. Though weakened by years, his voice still carried authority and resolve. "My son," he said, "I am old, and I do not know when my life will end. Take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out into the field. Hunt something for me. Prepare the kind of meal I love, and bring it to me so that I may eat and give you my blessing before I die." Esau, ever eager to satisfy his father, left at once to carry out the request. The sound of his steps faded into the distance. Then another presence emerged quietly within the tent. It was Rebekah, Isaac's wife and the mother of the twins. She had heard every word exchanged between father and son. Her heart quickened with urgency, recognizing the weight of the moment. Without delay, Rebekah moved swiftly to find Jacob, the son she loved and believed was destined for this blessing. "Listen," she whispered urgently, her voice low and tense. "I overheard your father speaking to Esau. He told him to go out, hunt game, and prepare a meal he enjoys, so that he may bless him before the Lord. before his final days arrive. Now, my son, listen closely to every word I say. Do exactly as I instruct you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 of the finest young goats. I will prepare a meal for your father, seasoned and cooked exactly the way he prefers. Then you will bring it to him to eat, so that he may give you the blessing before his death." Jacob, always calculating, immediately recognized the danger hidden within the plan. He hesitated and said, "My mother, Esau is a man covered with hair, and my skin is smooth. What if my father touches me? He will know I am deceiving him, and instead of a blessing, I will receive a curse." Rebekah, unwavering and resolute, answered him without hesitation. "Let the curse fall on me, my son. Only do as I say. Go and bring the goats." And so began a carefully orchestrated deception. With practiced skill and urgency, Rebekah prepared the meal exactly as Isaac loved it. Every spice, every detail was deliberate. Then she took Esau's finest garments, clothes he had worn often, and placed them on Jacob to complete the disguise. She wrapped Jacob's hands and neck with the skins of the goats, recreating the rough texture of Esau's skin. With his heart racing and his hands trembling, Jacob entered his father's tent, carrying the meal his mother had prepared. "My father!" he called out, attempting to imitate his brother's voice. Isaac, startled by how quickly the hunt seemed to be completed, asked, "Who are you, my son?" Jacob answered, steadying himself. "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you asked. Please sit up and eat from my hunt, so that you may bless me." Yet Isaac remained uneasy. Suspicion lingered in his weakened voice. He asked his son to come closer so he could touch him. His aged fingers brushed over Jacob's arms, feeling the coarse texture of the goat skins. "The voice sounds like Jacob's," he murmured. "But the hands, they are Esau's." Still uncertain, Isaac questioned him again. "Are you truly my son, Esau?" "I am," Jacob replied, the lie heavy on his tongue. His heart pounded so fiercely he feared his father might hear it. At last, either convinced or too tired to question further, Isaac asked for the meal. He ate, drank the wine Jacob had brought, and then called him closer. He kissed him, breathing in the scent of Esau's clothing. The final doubts faded. With solemn authority, Isaac began to speak. "Ah, the smell of my son is like the scent of a field the Lord has blessed. May God grant you the dew of heaven and the richness of the earth, abundant grain and new wine. Let peoples serve you and nations bow before you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow to you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you." The words, heavy with power and promise, filled the tent. Jacob stood trembling beneath the weight of what had just occurred, overwhelmed by both triumph and guilt. The blessing meant for Esau now belonged to him. Moments after Jacob departed, Esau returned from the hunt. Confident and proud, he prepared his meal and brought it to his father. "My father," he said, entering the tent, "sit up and eat from my hunt so that you may bless me." Isaac froze. Alarm rippled through him. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am your son," Esau replied, "your firstborn." Isaac began to shake violently. "Then who was it that hunted game and brought it to me earlier? I ate it all before you arrived, and I blessed him. And indeed, he will remain blessed." At these words, Esau cried out in anguish, a bitter and piercing scream. "Bless me too, my father," he pleaded. With sorrow in his voice, Isaac replied, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau's grief turned to rage. "No wonder his name is Jacob," he exclaimed. "He has deceived me twice, first my birthright, and now my blessing." Turning back to his father, desperation in his eyes, he asked, Have you reserved no blessing for me?" Isaac answered with words that cut deeply. "I have made him lord over you. I have given him your relatives as servants, and supplied him with grain and wine. What remains for you, my son?" Still, Esau refused to stop pleading. "Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too." And he wept aloud. Moved by his son's pain, Isaac spoke again, this time offering a blessing marked by hardship. "Your dwelling will be away from the richness of the earth, far from the dew of heaven above. You will live by the sword and serve your brother. But when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from your neck." These words echoed through the tent, sealing the destinies of two brothers and the nations that would come from them. Jacob had secured the blessing, but the price of his actions would be far greater than he could foresee. In Esau's heart, hatred took root. "My father will soon die," he thought, "and then I will kill my brother Jacob." When Rebekah learned of Esau's intentions, she moved quickly once more. She summoned Jacob and urged him to flee to her brother's household in Haran. "Stay there for a while," she told him, "until your brother's anger subsides." And so Jacob left, his family, his home, and the turmoil behind him. He had gained the blessing he longed for, yet the cost was severe. His journey would lead him into distant lands, where trials would shape his faith and test his character. Meanwhile, Esau remained consumed by bitterness, determined to reclaim what he believed had been stolen from him. The gap between the brothers, once small, had become an unbridgeable divide. This account of deception and consequence invites reflection on the choices we make. How often do immediate desires cloud our vision, preventing us from seeing the lasting impact of our actions? How far are we prepared to go when ambition collides with principle? The lives of Esau and Jacob, once bound together from the womb, were now moving in sharply different directions. While Jacob escaped toward unfamiliar territories, Esau remained in Canaan, continuing his life on ancestral soil. Yet remaining did not mean standing still. His journey would unfold through a series of decisions that shaped not only his own future, but the future of an entire people. Esau was known as a man of the open land, a hunter, strong, capable, respected. But strength does not protect the heart from loss. The forfeiting of his birthright and the blessing that followed left him carrying a deep sense of fracture. His bond with his twin had been torn, and in that rupture, something vital was missing. As the years passed, Esau sought to fill that emptiness, especially as he reached 40 years of age, an age regarded in that era as one of maturity and responsibility. At that stage of life, Esau made a choice that deeply troubled his parents, Isaac and Rebekah. He married two women from the Hittite people, Judith, the daughter of Beeri, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon. These unions were not welcomed within his household. The Hittites were outsiders to the covenantal tradition that Isaac and Rebekah had guarded with devotion. Their customs, beliefs, and spiritual practices stood in contrast to the heritage passed down from Abraham. Scripture tells us these marriages became a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. Genesis chapter 26, verse 35. Though the statement is brief, the emotional weight behind it is substantial. These marriages represented more than cultural difference. They signaled a departure from the sacred lineage entrusted with divine promise. To Isaac and Rebekah, this was not merely a family disagreement, it was a fracture in the continuity of God's covenant. Tension likely filled Isaac's household. Rebekah, who already favored Jacob, may have viewed Esau's marital decisions as further confirmation that her younger son was better suited to carry forward the family calling. Isaac, however, would have felt torn. His affection for Esau never vanished, yet his firstborn's decisions conflicted with everything Isaac had been taught to honor and preserve. Esau's Hittite wives brought with them more than companionship. They introduced unfamiliar values and practices into a household once centered on the worship of the God of Abraham. The rhythms of daily life shifted. What had been unified became strained. The contrast between belief systems likely created ongoing friction, quiet disagreements, subtle divisions, unresolved discomfort. Yet Esau appeared either unaware of the weight of his decisions or unmoved by it. Perhaps his unresolved resentment over the blessing hardened his resolve. Perhaps distance from family expectations felt like freedom. Either way, his choices steadily pulled him further from the traditions of his forefathers. Still, time advanced, and life continued unfolding. Esau eventually established a household separate from his parents. He prospered in what he knew best, the open land. His reputation as a hunter earned him recognition among surrounding peoples. Children were born, raised within a blended environment shaped by their father's way of life and their mother's cultural heritage. A new generation was forming, already distinct from the household of Isaac. Then a report reached Esau. Jacob was returning, not alone, but with wives, children, servants, and substantial wealth. The brother who had deceived him, who had taken the blessing and fled, was now coming back with visible evidence of success. Old wounds stirred. The past resurfaced. The weight of unresolved loss pressed in once more. At this pivotal moment, Esau made another deliberate choice regarding marriage. Now fully aware of how deeply his earlier unions had distressed his parents, he sought a different path. He took a third wife, but this time the decision carried symbolic intent. Esau went to Ishmael, the son of Abraham and half-brother to Isaac. He married Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael and sister of Nebaioth. This union was calculated. Through this marriage, Esau aligned himself once again with Abraham's bloodline. It was a statement spoken without words. I belong to this family too. I have not been cut off. This decision reveals a complex inner conflict within Esau. Despite earlier actions that pushed him away from his heritage, something within him still longed for acknowledgement. Perhaps he hoped this marriage would soften his parents' disappointment. Perhaps he sought reassurance that he still had a place within the covenantal story. Yet momentum had already been set in motion. The blessing Jacob carried, and the series of choices Esau had made, had charted a different future. Over time, Esau and his household relocated to the hill country of Seir, south of Canaan. This move was more than a change of residence. It marked a turning point, a separation, a new beginning outside the boundaries of the promised inheritance. In Seir, Esau flourished. His descendants multiplied, organized, and grew in strength. They became known as the Edomites, a people who would later occupy a significant place in the historical narrative of Israel. Genesis chapter 36 records their lineage in detail, revealing a line filled with chiefs, rulers, and kings. The land of Edom emerged as both prosperous and formidable. In this unfolding history, the words spoken by Isaac over Esau found their fulfillment. You will live away from the richness of the land and away from the dew of the heavens above. You will live by the sword. The Edomites became a warrior society, dwelling in rugged terrain. Though at times subject to the descendants of Jacob, they frequently resisted, breaking free whenever opportunity arose. The account of Esau's marriages and descendants invites serious reflection. It reminds us that personal decisions, especially those involving family and legacy, extend far beyond a single lifetime, shaping generations yet to come. We are reminded through this narrative that family relationships are rarely simple. They carry expectations, disappointments, and unspoken tensions that can stretch across years and generations. Esau's early marriages brought sorrow to his parents, and his later attempt to correct those choices reveals the strain that emerges when personal decisions clash with family values. This tension is familiar to many, wanting to honor where we come from while still choosing our own direction. Esau's life also speaks powerfully to the struggle for identity and belonging. His marital choices reflect an inner conflict between independence and attachment to his heritage. From his lineage emerged the nation of Edom, reminding us that individual decisions can ripple outward, shaping entire peoples and histories. What began as rivalry between twin brothers eventually grew into centuries of complicated interactions between two nations. This story invites reflection on blessing and hardship. Although Esau did not receive his father's primary blessing, his life was far from empty or unsuccessful. He prospered, became the leader of a strong people, and established a lasting legacy. This forces us to ask an uncomfortable question. What truly defines a blessing? Is purpose only found when life unfolds according to our expectations, or can meaning emerge even when plans change? As the narrative continues, Esau's influence extends well beyond his lifetime. The Edomites would repeatedly appear throughout Israel's history, sometimes as adversaries, sometimes as allies. Their paths remained intertwined, echoing the complicated bond between the brothers who founded them. Esau's journey, from favored firstborn to the father of a neighboring nation, reveals a story shaped by decisions, consequences, and unexpected restoration. Through his family and descendants, he forged a future different from what was first imagined, yet still significant. His life reminds us that disappointment does not eliminate the possibility of legacy. Years passed after Esau and Jacob separated, each following a distinct path. Esau established himself in the rugged hill country of Seir, building stability for his household. Meanwhile, Jacob spent 2 decades away, laboring under his uncle's authority. Eventually, the moment of reunion approached, heavy with uncertainty and fear. As Jacob returned to Canaan with his wives, children, and possessions, he sent messengers ahead to announce his arrival. When they returned saying Esau was coming with 400 men, Jacob was overcome with dread. Old memories resurfaced, the vow of revenge spoken years earlier. That night, after dividing his camp and sending gifts ahead, Jacob encountered a mysterious figure and wrestled until daybreak. From that struggle, he emerged changed, bearing a new name and a transformed outlook. When the brothers finally met, Jacob bowed repeatedly, bracing for judgment. But instead of violence, Esau ran toward him. He embraced him. He kissed him. They wept together. This reconciliation stands among the most moving moments in Scripture. The brother who once vowed revenge now welcomed Jacob openly. Time and distance had softened what anger once hardened, allowing compassion to rise. While Scripture follows Jacob's lineage, the prosperity and endurance of Edom confirm that Esau's path carried weight and meaning. Ultimately, Esau's legacy testifies to the complexity of human life. No single decision defines a person completely. Our lives are shaped by accumulated choices, relationships, failures, and moments of grace. His reconciliation with Jacob stands as lasting evidence that even fractured families can find restoration. As we reflect on the life of Esau, we are reminded that Scripture does not present perfect people, it presents real ones. People shaped by struggle, emotion, regret, and growth. Esau's story invites each of us to examine our own journeys. Where have disappointment and unexpected turns shaped us? Where might reconciliation still be possible? This narrative challenges us to reconsider what blessing truly means and how legacy is formed over time. It reminds us that redemption can emerge even when life unfolds differently than we hoped. Now, I invite you to reflect personally. What stood out to you in this story? How do you feel about Esau's choices, his reconciliation with Jacob, and the legacy he left behind? Share your thoughts, insights, and emotions in the comments. Your reflections may encourage someone else who is walking through family tension, identity struggles, or unanswered questions. Let this ancient story continue to speak through your voice today.